I still wake up screaming sometimes, remembering the sound Kepler 442b made when it died. Not the planet itself. Planets don't scream. But 8 billion Kalari did. Their psychic death cry echoing across subspace as the Devourers tore their world apart like paper. I was aboard the research vessel Harmony's Edge, part of the first xenobiological survey mission to witness what we'd only heard about in panic transmissions from the Outer Rim. The Devourers were unlike anything in our databases. They moved through space without ships, their bodies the size of mountains, covered in what looked like living obsidian that writhed and shifted. When they reached a planet, they didn't land, they consumed. I watched through the ship's sensors as tendrils of dark matter extended from their forms, piercing Kepler 442b's crust like needles through an egg. The planet convulsed. Continents cracked and folded inward. The atmosphere bled away in streams of superheated gas, and the Kalari civilization. Their crystal cities, their orbital gardens, their children, all of it fed the creatures' endless hunger. It took them 6 hours to reduce a thriving world to a hollow shell. "Dear God," whispered Dr. Sarachin, our mission xenobiologist. She was crying, tears floating in the observation deck's low gravity. "How do we fight something like that?" Captain Morrison's face was granite. "We don't. We run, we hide, and we pray they don't find Earth." But I couldn't look away as the Devourers moved on, leaving behind nothing but a dead rock orbiting a weeping star. That's when I saw the first signs that humanity might be different from every other species that had tried to resist them. The evacuation of the Centauri colonies began within hours of our report reaching Earth. But instead of the panicked exodus I expected, I watched through hyperspace communication feeds as something extraordinary happened. Humans weren't just running, they were learning. Every ship that fled carried data collectors. Every refugee brought samples of devourer biomatter salvaged from attacked worlds. The greatest minds of our species worked around the clock, not just to escape, but to understand. Dr. Maya Okafor at the Luna Research Station made the first breakthrough. The Devourers weren't invincible, they were quantum parasites, feeding on the zero-point energy that held matter together. But quantum mechanics worked both ways. What could unmake could also remake. I was on Earth when the first test of humanity's response began. The Devourers had found us, emerging from the dark between stars like nightmares. Given form, 3 of them, each the size of a small moon, descended toward our blue world with patient inevitability. The planet's defense networks opened fire, plasma cannons, nuclear missiles, kinetic bombardments. Everything humanity had built to kill each other, we threw at the creatures. It was like shooting spitballs at a hurricane. The Devourers barely noticed. Their tendrils began to pierce Earth's atmosphere. That's when I understood what humanity really was. In the space of 72 hours, our species had done something no other civilization had managed in 10,000 years of devourer attacks. We had weaponized hope itself. The quantum resonance fields activated simultaneously from 12 hidden installations across the globe. Dr. Okafor's breakthrough hadn't just shown us how the Devourers fed, it had shown us how to feed them poison. I watched from the International Space Station as waves of inverse quantum energy erupted from the planet's surface. Instead of the zero-point energy the creatures craved, they found themselves consuming pure entropy. The fundamental force of dissolution turned back on itself. The first Devourer simply stopped. Its mountain-sized form hung motionless above the Pacific Ocean, tendrils retracting as its internal processes ground to a halt. The second began to convulse, its obsidian surface crackling with fissures of brilliant white light. The third tried to flee, but the quantum field's effects were already spreading through its nervous system. All 3 collapsed into the ocean within the span of an hour, their bodies dissolving into harmless exotic matter. But that wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. Within 6 months, human ships equipped with quantum resonance weapons began appearing in every system the Devourers had ever touched. We didn't just defend ourselves, we went hunting. Species that had hidden in fear for millennia watched in amazement as humanity, the newest member of the galactic community, became its protector. The Thali, whose homeworld had been consumed 50 years ago, wept when human marines helped them resettle their ancestral system. The crystalline Vex, who had perfected the art of hiding, emerged from their concealed habitats to fight alongside us. Even the proud Kalari survivors, scattered across 100 refugee ships, returned to help rebuild their world from the quantum matter we'd recovered from dead Devourers. I was there when we found the Devourer's origin point, a massive space station in the galactic core where an ancient artificial intelligence had been creating them for eons, driven mad by the extinction of its creators. I watched as Captain Morrison, now promoted to Admiral, led the final assault that shut down the nightmares forever. The AI's last transmission was almost plaintive. Why do you fight for them? These other species, they are not your kind. Admiral Morrison's response became legend across a dozen star systems. No, they're not our kind. They're better than that. They're our friends. I've seen creatures tear worlds apart with casual ease. I've watched civilizations die screaming in the dark. But I've also seen humanity look at the impossible and say, hold my beer. In the end, that made all the difference.